Hey guys, welcome back to Steelers Talk. I'm Joe, joined with John, and Steelers season is finally underway. Week one in only a couple days, maybe tomorrow. I don't know what time when we're getting this video out, but we're playing the Bengals, the team that whooped us last season. But hey, it's a new season. The beauty of fall, the everlasting, what's the word for it? There's hope. There's hope. You never know what's going to happen, John. So. I mean, let's get underway. You're talking about the Bengals. What are your first just thoughts going into this game? When you saw Bengals on the schedule week one, what'd you think?
I first laughed because I don't know. I'm used to them like when they open up against like the Browns or I mean, it's been a long time, I think, right, since they opened up against the Ravens. But I remember like the prime Ben era, they seem like to always open up against the Browns. And I was like, all right, that's like tradition.
You
And like
opened
with
against the Browns, and then you play the Browns week 17 was the
yeah,
Browns.
I know they end with the Browns this year, but yeah, it would be like bookended. It would be the
Yep.
Browns. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm used to. Um, Not gonna lie, I wish they were opening up against someone else because the Bengals are really good this year. Last year was very unfortunate, both times they played. I looked up the scoring margin, I think, they outscored the Steelers 65-20 in the two games they played, and Steelers were held to 10 points in each game. So that cannot happen again. I don't think that's gonna happen again. I know last episode when we had my dad on, we were saying that it's probably gonna be closer than what people imagine because I mean, you look back at those games, and we talked about how weak Ben looked at times when it wasn't the end of the game. Like the first three quarters of a game, Ben would just he wasn't himself. I mean, he was way past his prime, but he wasn't effective. And having a serviceable starter now in Mitch Trubisky on paper, you would think that the offense is going to be better than last season. I know the big question mark is the offensive line, and I think in that game especially, the offensive line could be an issue early on, and for much of it, just because I think Mitch Trubisky is going to be running for his life, but at least he's mobile. So that's what the first thing that comes to mind is like, all right, they got whipped last season, like you mentioned, the leaves are starting to change. Everything's different now. It's a new season, new fall. Anything's possible week one. Do I expect them to win? Absolutely not. Would it be nice? Yes. I mean, they upset the Bills week one last season, so would not put it past them. It's still a Mike Tomlin coach team. But I think what you want to see from this game is, a good performance out of Trubisky, who's the starter, whether you like it or not, whether you think Pickett should be the starter. A good performance out of him. You'd like to see the defense be respectable against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I mean, I think their pass rush is going to be fine, but it's more their secondary. Don't let Jamar Chase, go for 250 yards receiving that game. Just be respectable, and you want to see guys like George Pickens and all the young guys kind of step up too as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous for this game because I think the Bengals, Steelers, we match up terribly with them. They match up great against us. I mean, I just remember each game they just destroyed our offensive line because they'll put four guys on the line and just, absolutely manhandle our offensive line. No running holes. Obviously, I think this could be up at least 4 sacks. I could see this week for the Bengals. And then their run game, they went crazy on the Steelers last year, running Joe Mixon and their offensive line got better. So, I mean, obviously the Steelers run defense should be better this year than last year. But still, I expect domination from the Bengals, at least statistically. I don't know if it's actually going to be like maybe the Steelers hold them to 3 instead of 7 or 6 most times, but I don't think this is going to be a very good game for the Steelers. I just think out of every team on the schedule, I think the Bengals match up with the Steelers the best or worst, however you want to say it. The Steelers match up against the Bengals.
Yeah.
It's not good for the Steelers.
Like I think the spread is like 6.5, obviously in favor of the Bengals. Like that would be honestly, if the Steelers would only lose by a touchdown to this team as opposed to just getting their teeth knocked in like last season, I'm fine with that. The Bengals are probably going to win the AFC North this year.
Them or the
I'm
Ravens.
more. What do you say?
Them or the Ravens.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, but for me, in my mindset, I'm more worried about them how they're going to play against the Ravens and the Browns this year because I think those are much more winnable games than against the Bengals at this point. The
Yeah.
Bengals are one of the best teams in the AFC, bar none, right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be beautiful if we could beat the Bengals, but Not expecting much, but I'm looking for improvement in certain areas. I want the Steelers not to give up, get blown out. Like I want the Steelers defense to show that they look good. I need the run defense
Exactly.
to look good. I mean, look, it's week one. Week one means jack. We know this. It means nothing really for the whole season. I mean, Steelers played great against Buffalo last year in week one, and I don't think their defense played. I mean, they didn't play. I don't want to say it was their best performance last year, but it was
It
one of
was
their
up
best
there
performances.
because Josh Allen didn't really do
That's what
anything.
I'm saying. Like it doesn't really mean anything. It's going to be on the record, but I want to see sparks and flashes of improvement.
Yeah, I also want to see whatchamacallit on defense. I know my dad also mentioned this too. I mean, like, he's higher on him than we are. We've been kind of crapping
Devin
on him.
Bush.
Devin Bush, exactly. You know, you read my mind. Like, show me something, please. Like,
Yeah.
just to get a bunch of tackles. Maybe he can like restrict Joe Mixon a little bit. I know they're probably gonna run all over the Steelers like they always do, but like him, give me something. You know what you're gonna get out of T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, the usual suspects. But like even my dad mentioned, like Alex Highsmith, let's see something out of him when you're lined up alongside T.J. Watt, and obviously like the stigma in the offseason that the Bengals offensive line is finally better. I mean, they haven't played a game yet with this new offensive line. So
Yeah,
let's
we'll see how it looks.
let's erase the narrative here, or at least for week one, let's erase the narrative. The Steelers pass rush is great. Like you got some, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, these are potential future Hall of Famers someday. Like, come on. So I think, like you mentioned, having sparks in a bunch of areas, stringing along a respectable performance. I'm not even going to say like great, the words great or decent. I'm going to say respectable. I want people to come out of that game saying, like, okay, maybe the Steelers aren't going to be absolute dog water this year just because, their Hall of Fame quarterback's gone. The whole regime is changing, with this three quarterback, I guess, committee thing, whatever they have. But I mean, obviously, Trubisky is the starter and Rudolph's still there, and Pickett obviously is the number two, which that's also funny. We have to talk about the whole mix-up that Pickett was
That
listed as
was
the
so
number
goofy.
three, and he was actually the two. Wow,
It was
that
a
is funny.
clerical error.
Clerical era. Wow. I mean, I feel like that's honestly like a bad omen already for this season. That they're already butchering something as small as that. Like
Tomlin does not care about that depth chart at
I
all.
know he doesn't, but like from a media perspective, which we're coming from, it's just funny, and it's like, oh, the omens already are here. Like, come on.
You know what's fun to me, John? All last season, everyone was like, "Oh, Ben's so bad. They need to move on from him. They'll be better without him." And now Ben's gone. They're like, "How are they going to do without Ben Roethlisberger?" There's like, media, make up your mind. Make up your mind.
Okay, that what you just said has been applied to like every washed up athlete past their prime when they move on. The year after is, oh, what are they going to do without him? What are they going to do without him?
It's like
I can name
you
like
guys are
10
all begging for
examples.
him to retire. They're like, he's so bad. Which I'm not gonna say Ben was great last year. I'm not.
Yeah.
But like, it's like the way people were talking about him. It's like they should obviously improve without him, right? They should obviously the way they're talking about it. And now it's like, oh, this
A
team might just
serviceable
be bad.
starter. You need a serviceable starter in Mitch Trubisky. And like I think about even like when Eli retired, like the Giants fans are like, oh, I mean, and Eli had a rough last couple of years in New York. But people were like, oh, like when he was still playing, they need to move on for him. He's done. Like, we'll let him be put out the pasture or whatever. And then once he's finally gone, like, it's a whole thing. Like, you got to find the new quarterback. Like, who's going to replace Eli? Who's going to replace this talent? But you were just knocking the talent for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's just unfortunately, it's the way the media is. And, that's the consensus when most, really great players who are really kind of washed in that stage of their career. But I think the thing with Ben, going back to Ben, sorry, a little off topic there, like, obviously, okay, he's gone. The first time in our lifetimes that we're going to see an actual starter be different. Because, I mean, we've seen plenty of backups come in when Ben's got beaten up, like from Charlie Batch to freaking Duck Hodges. We've seen a bunch of backups for Ben when he's been hurt.
Speaking of which, that was such a weird season. We had a guy named Duck Start, and he almost brought us to
Oh,
a
I
playoff.
love that. My brother got his jersey that year too. That
I
was
don't
fun.
blame your brother. I love Duck. I think. All right, so this is really off topic, real quick, but ever since Charlie Batch retired, Steelers fans I mean, they hated the backup. Landry Jones was hated. Mason Rudolph was hated, but Duck was loved. Duck was the one
But
backup that everyone liked.
it was because of his name, honestly. I don't know. I mean, he was okay. I mean, Devlin Hodges, like, what a name.
What
It's
a
more
guy.
likable than Landry Jones. Isn't Landry Jones playing in another league now?
I have no. I think it was in the XFL or something like
Yeah.
that.
Like, what was he in the XFL?
Or USFL.
Was he? Hold on, look it up. I'm pretty sure Landry Jones was able to. He played at Oklahoma. He's also played for the Dallas Renegades. Excuse me, which is the XFL. And his college coach Bob Stoops coached the Dallas Renegades, which is funny. But anyway, the fact that Ben is not playing now that like the window is now open for that new franchise quarterback. Mitch Trubisky's not the franchise quarterback, right?
No.
No, like you have to be a naive to think he is. Like we were talking about with my dad before. The fact that Kenny Pickett has already shown flashes in preseason, even though preseason doesn't mean anything, like he has that potential to already step in this year, I think is the best sign the Steelers can have. So what you really need out of week one, what you need out of the whole season is just like positive progression and development out of Kenny Pickett. Not even so much Mitch Trubisky because, like you
I would say
said,
the
sure.
whole team, John. I'll be
Well, I
honest.
know the whole team, but I'm saying the most important position right now is the quarterback. Just
Yeah.
now that because you can't win without a good quarterback.
How my question is, how are we going to determine Kenny Pickett's progression when he's on the bench?
If Mitch Trubisky is given a shorter leash, I mean, some of it might be out of his control because the offensive line, I think we know what's going to happen. It's going to be rough. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think if Kenny Pickett comes in this season, we can already start seeing it. But you have to almost assume as a backup that he's still developing, even though he's not playing NFL games
He's going
yet.
to be getting reps. He's
He's
100.
going to be getting reps in practice. Exactly. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. You're 100% right. But I mean more like just on the field. Like, how are we as fans going to see it? I guess because we're not there at practice to see. Obviously, we hope he's progressing well in practice, but we won't be able to see his progression anymore until he gets real snaps.
But that could be like we were saying before, like could be 8 games into the season, maybe even less than that.
Yeah, I literally just made a TikTok about what's it called? About Kenny Pickett. When do I think he's going to start? And I think there's two places I can see him starting, and we
The
talked about this
Jets,
on the show with your dad. Is week 4 against the Jets, or when they play the Saints, which I
which is
think
is that after the bye?
after the bye. Yeah,
Yeah. So so that'll be like 9 games in. Yeah,
one
that
of those
makes
two
sense.
spots. And I think if he's not starting by then, I don't think he starts at all this year. I'm going to be honest because at that point, if he's not starting by when the Saints are, and this is way off topic from the Bengals, but if he's not starting when that means either Mitch Trubisky's playing well and the Steelers are in a playoff hunt and they don't want to put Kenny in. That's the only reason I could see him not being in by week 9.
Yeah, and I already saw this is not off topic, this is just funny that Joe Flacco starting week 1 for the Jets and that Zach Wilson's first game back they're looking at is the Steeler game.
No, I heard he's not going to be back for the Steelers game.
He's not? I saw like
Yeah, I heard
minutes
Flacco's
ago.
going to be playing against us.
Where'd you hear that?
I think I saw it on Twitter briefly.
I swear I just saw that Zach Wilson could be aiming for the Steeler game. I mean, again, we don't know for sure yet.
Yeah.
Like, have they said? Yeah. Schefter tweeted, the Robert Sala said it's likely that the earliest that Zach Wilson will be available is week 4 at Pittsburgh. So that's the
Okay.
early. So that's the earliest he's available. But you're right. That doesn't mean he's going to play. You don't want to rush him and so he
I
get
don't know
hurt
what's
again.
taking so long for this injury. I'm going to be honest with you.
I think it's kind of sketchy and just kind of concerning if you're a Jets fan, honestly.
Yeah, I don't
I
get
think
it.
it's more serious than it. I mean, well, obviously, it's not as serious as what it looked like, but now at this point, I think it's a little bit more serious than the initial like woo sigh of relief.
Yeah.
But imagine Kenny Pickett and Zach Wilson playing Week 4.
Oh God,
That'd be great.
that would be.
That'd be such a fun game. Like two future. I mean, we don't know about Zach Wilson, but hopefully, and we're hoping Kenny Pickett is going to be the future of the Steelers. But like a little glimpse of the future for the potentially AFC teams.
And that'd be a good challenge for Kenny because Sauce Gardner and stuff.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams, like Jets defense has got better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, especially Sauce Gardner.
back to the Bengals. Though. Let's give our keys to the game for the Steelers to get a victory. And I think my number one key would be stop the run. I think if you could force Burrow to pass the ball, and I'm not taking Burrow's a great amazing quarterback, elite quarterback, an incredible passer. But if you can take away the run, that helps so much. I trust our secondary to make a play or two that could, maybe turn the tide of a game. And I'd much rather get gashed in the air than I would on the ground. I'll be completely honest with you. Because if Mixon's just running all over the team, that's just demoralizing. If you give up a shot to Chase or Higgins, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, and one of my keys, I mean, like I have two keys. What you just said is one, and I'm gonna kind of alter it. I'm gonna say limit the run. I don't think they're gonna be able to stop the run. Like I don't think Mixon's gonna be held to like under 50 yards. I think he's still gonna get his touches and get a decent. He's gonna run probably a decent amount over them, but just limit it to a respectable number where it's not dictating the outcome of the game. Like you said, let Burrow beat you. Let Burrow with his new offensive line kill you in the air, as opposed to Joe Mixon running all over you, like just nonstop like they did last season.
My other number two for me, sustain drives on offense. They don't need to score every drive. They can have to punt. That's fine, but no three and outs. Oh, not no three and outs, but let's limit the one or two three and outs the whole game. That's it. Because if you can't let Burrow have all this time on the field. I mean, we saw it against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game when this Bengals defense forced a bunch of three and outs, and Burrow and the Bengals. You give that team enough tries, they're gonna score and they're gonna beat you. But if you can just control the clock, sustain drives, and let the Steelers defense get the rest that they need, and also Bengals defense. While I think they've improved, I think they're good. They're not perfect. They're not a perfect defense. They're not even a great defense. At some point, if you can sustain drives, you're gonna be able to break them. So
yeah, I agree. My second key is on offense. Like you said, I think a way that Mitchell Trubisky is going to be having any sort of success this season is if the Steelers' run game gets going. And I know it's going to probably be a tall task to ask because their offensive line is not good right now. But I think the key is to get Najee going. If they can get Najee going, that not only gets his momentum and flow going, and we know how great a running back he is already, but that opens up the passing game, the play action game. That opens up so many avenues on offense as opposed to Mitch Trubisky throwing three downs, every single possession and risking that 3 and out because the Bengals secondary is pretty decent. Like that's what I mean. You got to get Najee going because that opens up like 10 more layers of the offense, and it'll help Najee get going too. And he's obviously going to be like the bell cow, the bell boy. I forget what the term we say for him is.
bell cow. I would
Bell
say
cow. Yeah, bell cow. He's him. He's that guy, and that's why they drafted him. I mean, Benny Snell and Warren. Like we'll see what's going to happen, but yeah, get him going because that'll open up just a lot of offense and it'll keep the Bengals defense guessing. Because like you said, they're not an elite defense. There's like 5 elite defenses we can name right now. They're not one of them, but they are a good defense.
And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Bengals because I think a lot of people hate on that defense. I think they're better than most people think. But
I think they're a good defense too.
They have weaknesses, or not necessarily. They're vulnerable, and I think. And my third key is what your second key is. It's run the damn ball and run it effectively. And this kind of ties in with being sustaining drives, but I truly think running the football is the best form of offense. Yeah, you could score quick on passes, right? But if you can just running the football demoralizes defenses, demoralizes them. I really think that just pound it down the throat, smash mouth football. That's what you're gonna need. The Ben era is over. There's no killer bee era. Ride Najee Harris. Ride him like you had Jerome Bettis back then in the 90s and the 2000s. Just let him at it. Play strong defense and run the damn ball.
No, I agree. Yeah, they got to resort back to that old style of play because that again it'll open up guys like Pickens and Claypool and
it opens up the play action game.
Deontay Johnson is a little questionable. You said with injury, like those guys will get going and Trubisky won't have to rely on 60, 70-yard bombs for offense. Like it'll be consistent, string along drives, keeping the defense off the field, resting them up. And my last key to the game, because this is like the Bengals' Achilles heel, in my opinion. I know the offensive line is better, quote unquote, but I think they need to absolutely blitz and send the house to Burrow the entire game. Again, if he shreds up the secondary, so be it. But T.J. Watt, Miles Jack, everyone be pressuring him every single down, no matter what. Make him uncomfortable, make him scramble, make him have to make throws on the run. Pressure this offensive line, make them nervous. Like just do something to disrupt the Bengals offense because if Burrow has time, he's going to shred them. And I'd rather, and if he is going to shred them, which probably will happen because of the secondary, you want to at least the Steelers just pass rush and the pass rush to just have some sort of success against them,
Hit
make
him.
it uncomfortable
Just
for
hit
them.
him. Make him feel
Hit
uncomfortable
him.
back there.
Hit him.
Don't obviously don't injure. We don't want injuries, but like
Yeah,
just
don't
make him feel uncomfortable back there. Don't let him be comfortable. Sit back there all day. He's like a Mahomes in a way where it's like you just give him too much time, he's gonna find someone's gonna get open. Like
Yeah.
I truly believe in blitzing Mahomes and Burrow. I mean, look, they're gonna find people. They're two of the best quarterbacks in the league, so you can only hope to contain them. But
Yeah, like there's no shot that if Burrow gets like 3 to 5 seconds back there, he's obviously going to find someone. I mean, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, the list goes on. He has weapons now, which is just crazy. And then that team obviously was just coming off a Super Bowl appearance. So, like, you know, they're hungry. They want to get back there. What do they want to do week one? They want to beat their probably biggest rival,
yeah,
right?
Bengals fans hate the Steelers more than anyone. I mean,
Yeah,
what's kind of funny is every team in the Steelers division hates the Steelers the most. The
because they're the
Browns'
best.
biggest rival, Steelers. Ravens' biggest rival, Steelers. Bengals' biggest rival, Steelers.
The way it is. And then the Steelers' biggest rival, the Ravens. It's not even
Yeah.
the Bengals or Browns.
You know what it is? We're the father of every team in this division. So yeah, I'm just telling the truth. We beat everyone up. Browns, they just don't beat us. Ravens, we beat them in big games. And the Bengals, we beat them in big games too.
No, but would you say that like the most recent, I guess, rival? I mean, even all time is probably the Ravens. That's their probably biggest rival in the division.
100%. And
They're
I
always
think the biggest
competitive.
difference is the Ravens rivalry is built off respect. Like I hate the Ravens as a Steelers fan, but they're the one team in the division I respect. I respect the hell out of the Ravens.
Because I mean, those teams had like Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, like these guys like are
And they
Hall
built
of
the
Fame.
team. I love the way that they built the team. They built the team like the Steelers built the team.
Yeah, and they weren't even like. I mean, obviously those games were physical, just slugfest. But like they all respected Ben. The teams had mutual respect. That like, yes, we're gonna knock your teeth in for a full game, but like, these are two of the best
It
teams.
never got dirty. That was the thing I always liked.
Yeah, and the Bengals got dirty.
The Bengals got dirty, and even the Browns was weird. Not necessarily dirty, but the Browns we just beat them up all. They did get dirty when they swing helmets around, but
Yeah, but like the Browns were never an issue.
no.
Like at least lately. I mean, I think we're looking at Ben is like 26-2-1 against the Browns all time.
And he always wanted. He always wanted in Cincinnati too. Like he owned that stadium for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's the Ravens and. I guess they're not even a rivalry anymore, but even outside the division, we were talking about my dad. Like, I think the Raiders is a longtime rival of the Steelers. Cowboys, uh,
Titans,
Titans,
Oilers.
Yeah, the Titans, Oilers teams. Like, I mean, we go way back. There's a ton.
I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of the Bengals, they put out a tweet the other day, and it was, "What's your favorite memory from Steelers week?" And the Steelers fans just invaded the entire thing and just posting stuff from the wild card games. Oh, it's funny.
Remember when you cheap shot our best player and we still won?
I wanted to bring that up at one point of in the video with your dad. I remember that game vividly, John. That
game I remember too. We were screaming at the TV when that happened.
My dad threw a chair.
Jail.
My dad threw a chair. He wasn't a mat. I forgot what he did, but he threw something after Landry Jones threw that pick to Vontaze Burfict. And I was sitting in the corner, like upset, but I was like, this game's not over yet. We're playing the Bengals. What happens? The Jeremy Hill fumbles. Vontaze Burfict becomes an absolute idiot, and then Pac-Man, and then Joey Porter just walks onto the field. Like that game is iconic. That's an iconic football game.
I was pushing the narrative that like Vontaze Burfict should get charged for just almost murdering a football player on the field.
That was me, Myles Garrett.
Because those aren't football plays what they did. Especially, I mean, Garrett, forget about it. He almost killed Mason Rudolph. But like that hit to Brown, Maybe that's why Brown is what he is right now. Maybe
Who knows?
he just
That was
not
a
get the
scary
field.
hit, man.
It was scary.
He
It
just
was
shoulder. I think it was shoulder. Was it shoulder pad or was it helmet right to his jaw?
yeah, like and his head, like oh, it was terrible. That was like the worst hit I've ever one of the worst hits I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And like that's the type of game you're gonna get with the Bengals. It's just the way it is. I kind of hope now that Ben's gone, and now I guess the teams. I mean, the Bengals are going to be better now for probably a longer
oh,
time.
they're gonna be
But
great.
but when they even out, when the Steelers get good again, maybe that respect will finally be there like it is with the Ravens.
Maybe we'll see. It's different because I mean, I don't know though because there were a lot of Bengals fans talking, not fans, I should say, players talking a bunch of crap last season during the games. I remember who was it, Tyler Boyd, a Pittsburgh guy, kind of just said the Steelers. I don't. He's like, I lost respect for them after the game. He's like, they just rolled over for us. Like they were talking crazy about the Steelers after
These
they
guys
beat
haven't
us
won
last year.
anything. They haven't
What?
won anything. They just lost in the Super Bowl.
It,
They
it's
may not make back there.
it's little brother syndrome. That's all
Yeah,
I can say. I mean,
yeah.
and I'm not trying to like be disrespectful or anything, but when you finally are kind of conquering that dragon, you're going to talk. I mean, and they earned the right to talk. Don't get me wrong; they earned a lot of the right to talk last season against the Steelers. But it's just, I don't know.
But
Kind
here's
of,
the thing.
it makes me think that the way these two teams are, there's never going to be that respect between the two that the Steelers and Ravens have.
No, that's true. But then going back to the Bengals, like, yes, they're one of the best teams in the AFC. Could they go back to the Super Bowl?
100%.
Maybe. But guess what? The AFC is stacked.
I think
The,
they got very lucky on that playoff run, and
I
I
think they
don't think
did
Burrow
too.
played that well on that
They
playoff run
didn't.
either.
And that's what I mean. Like they were just like, yes, they were talking all that smack. But like think about this year. The Bills are I think the Bills make the Super Bowl. That's my opinion. But the Bills, the Chargers, even though the Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill, still Patrick Mahomes. Like so many good teams in the AFC that they're gonna have to go through again. And now that they've seen a year of playoff Bengals where Burrow wasn't he wasn't bad, he wasn't great, he was decent. It was the
I
defense.
think I think a lot of people overplayed his performance. I think that defense balled out in that playoffs. I think they got carried by the defense. That
I do too.
again,
And
Burrow did not play bad by any means. He just played fine though. He played fine, and I think
he
a lot of
played
people
good
like.
enough.
I
Good
think a lot
enough.
of people overplayed his performance because he's a likable guy and he could be the face of the NFL in a way. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of people overplayed his performance because of that. But
Yeah. But like nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Like, yes, the Bengals made a Super Bowl. Could they miss out the next 5 years, even though they have one of the best teams in the league? Yes. When
yeah,
you get to that highest mountaintop, you got to take advantage of your opportunities
it's
because
hard to get to a
you may
Super
never
Bowl. It's
know.
hard.
It is so hard, and you
The
may
Steelers with the
never.
killer bees never got there.
That's what I mean. Like, they had to have won last year to get this almighty, pass to talk smack to the Steelers. Steelers still won 6 Super Bowls. Come on,
Yeah. And two
like
in recent memory. It's not even like, oh, they
yeah.
won them way, way back in the day. Like,
Who in the 21st century? Like,
yeah,
great. I mean, I was wearing my Rangers hat before. It's hard to talk smack with the Devils fans when the Rangers have won a cup in the 21st century.
we
I know it was
won our three
1994.
cups since the first time since our three cups came from before you guys won your most recent. Or after you
Rangers,
guys won your most
yeah,
recent.
the Rangers' last cup was 1994.
Yeah, and our three
It
were
was all early
99.
2000s. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
and for the Steelers, like, 2008. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's still what I mean. 14 years ago. If you look at some of the longest droughts in the league, hello, the Cincinnati Bengals,
They never won. Never
they
won.
never won.
A lot of
So
teams never won. It's hard. I don't and this is totally off topic, but I think Tom Brady made people underestimate how hard it is to win a Super Bowl.
I agree.
I think him winning 7 makes everyone's like, oh, he only like people are like, oh, Ben only has 2 Super Bowls. Other than Brady, there's like only 2 or 3 quarterbacks with 4+ Super Bowls.
Like, yeah, that's a great argument. That's even like a great research project you could do of like how Brady in football, like LeBron in the NBA, how they've changed the stigma that it's easy to get to championships just
Yeah.
based off their greatness, and it almost discounts when other teams make it because they think like, oh, Brady made it that many times, like it must be a walk in the park. No, it's not. Especially in football. Football's like the hardest sport to make a title run in.
There's a reason why the Steelers and Patriots have the most, and they've only won 6.
Yeah, it's not like like hockey where the Canadians have won 20, the Yankees won, over 20 World Series, and basketball, the Celtics won, I forgot how many they have. I mean, the Celtics and Lakers have a bunch. Like, it's different in football.
Yeah, and I'll also say this about the Bengals. I'm really not trying to pick on the Bengals. I mean, it is a Bengals Steelers video, but I think the Bengals. I mean, getting back to the Super Bowl, they got lucky injury wise. They didn't have any major injuries last year either. I mean, obviously they lost Ogunjobi towards the end of the season, which that's
Yeah.
another thing to see how Ogunjobi is back in Cincinnati
Yes,
now.
on our team.
But
Yeah, but like I remember you brought this up a couple episodes ago too. But like, yes, they got lucky with the injury bug, but that's just a part of a run because you need to be lucky with injuries.
that's what
But
I'm saying. Yeah,
look at the year before where Burrow was
exactly.
destroyed his knee.
Exactly. You need to
Yeah.
be lucky with injuries to win a Super Bowl. And that's not trying to take anything away, but I don't think there's any team that's won a Super Bowl and been like, yeah, the injuries really screwed them over. I mean, look at when the Steelers won the Super Bowl, 2005. What major injuries did they have in 2005?
Yeah, nothing.
What major injuries did they have in 2008? I mean, they lost their punter and long snapper, but like you can
It's
handle that.
replaceable.
Yeah. Like remember in 2010 when they went to the Super, they lost Marquise Pouncey right before the Super Bowl. That screwed them over. Like
Yeah.
need to be healthy to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
So
luck involved to getting there and to winning. So
yeah. And like you look at the Rams, like all their injuries happen in the offseason. I know Stafford was hurt, I think, in the offseason. And like I mean, like Cooper Cup didn't get hurt. Like so many important pieces on a team that was the reason why they won were fine. And you never want anyone to get hurt, obviously. But like it's just the reality of football that people are going to get hurt.
yeah.
So like Tyler Boyd has to realize, like, in the moment of an eye, for any team, your quarterback could go down, your running back could go down, your best defensive player can go down. It's the reality of the sport. But
Yeah,
the
I felt like
Bengals win the
everything
Super Bowl
happened during
this
the Killer B era. There'd always be a big injury. So
exactly. I mean, it was always with Bell. Like Bell always got hurt. But if the Bengals win the Super Bowl this year, Tyler Boyd can come on this podcast and run his mouth for a full hour with us if he really wants
you gonna
to.
get him on, Mr.
We'll figure
WSIU with
out a
all the
way.
connections over there.
We're gonna. I know. No, not football. I have hockey ones, not football though.
Get a hockey guy on here. Get Gino on here or Sid. Imagine.
As a Rangers and Devils fan, that'd be funny.
That would
Like,
be.
but yeah, Tyler Boyd, come on this podcast if the Bengals win a Super Bowl, please, and then you can say whatever you want to us. And
But before we wrap up, let's give score predictions. John, you want to go first?
Wow. All right, I will say 27-14 Bengals.
I'm gonna go 30-17 Bengals.
Yeah, it's about the same. So we'll write that down, remember it, and we'll know for our next show if we're right or not.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I think we're gonna get a video out after the game, and then we'll see what happens after that if we're gonna keep getting videos out while I'm on vacation or not. But we'll see. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys after the Steelers hopefully beat the Bengals.